Before we get into this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to find more content all about national parks in the USA and Canada. And remember, if there is a video in particular that you like, I'd really appreciate it if you could make sure that you hit that like button and of course comment below.
Welcome to Yosemite National Park. It's so good to be back. This video is all about Horsetail Falls. If you don't know what Horsetail Falls is, you may also know it as the Firefall, even though it's technically not a firefall. And basically, here's a little history lesson just to get you up to speed.
So back in 1872 at the Mountain House Hotel, which was at the top of Glacier Point, on the 4th of July, they would burn a bonfire and then push the embers 1,400 feet off of Glacier Point down towards the valley, which would create this firefall effect. And people would pay $1.50 a head to view this. And this then became a daily event happening at 9 p.m. every day from the early 20th century until 1968, when it happened for the last time. So that's the firefall, because this was actual burning embers being pushed off of Glacier Point, actually making it a firefall. And that name has really stuck. But what we see now is actually Horsetail Falls getting illuminated by the sun because of the position of the sun. And this happens just for a couple of weeks every February, as long as the conditions are there. What we see now is Horsetail Falls, which is a waterfall that only really runs during the late winter into early spring, when there's been heavy snow just off El Capitan. So this is a temporary waterfall that looks like a horse's tail. And when the sun hits it at the right angle in that winter time, it does create this image, this phenomenon that looks like lava flowing, but it's not actually fire, it's just light. And that's what you would see now if you went to see the firefalls at Yosemite. As the crowds at Yosemite and other national parks have exploded since COVID, during winter, even though there are some quiet days, on particular weekends during the firefall season, it gets insanely crowded with thousands of people, mostly photographers in all weather conditions, out trying to take pictures. It's been such a problem that the National Park Service has restricted the areas that you can drive and park, making sure that the meadows are protected and trying to minimize the impact on the environment around Horsetail Fall itself. They've also implemented, for the last 2 years, a reservation system on the recreation.gov site, where you need to get a special permit to access the park on certain busy days when Horsetail Falls is likely to be viewed. So you go onto the app, search for Yosemite, and scroll down until you see Yosemite National Park ticketed entry, and then you'll see Horsetail Falls ticketed entry. Now, if you get one of these passes, which are for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on these specific weeks, then you can enter the park for 7 days. However, you can only enter if you have one of these reservations or you have accommodation. So there's lots of terms and conditions on here, basically telling you how to enter, why you need it, how long you need it for, that kind of thing. And this is a 24 hours a day thing, so there's no off-peak time that you can enter the park in the hope that you're going to be okay. If you're planning on entering, you need to have this. So there is a fee of $2 to reserve this, so I managed to do it, which is why it's a bit difficult to show you, but I'm just going to show you the basics. So when you go on and you have made a reservation, you will see this, and then you can press View Tickets, which will show you at the end what you've bought, and it's this QR code that they scan on entry into the park. Now, obviously, you'll need to check for the year that you're visiting if this is going to be in place. But if it is, find out when they're releasing the permits, and make sure you're logged in with an account set up on recreation.gov, because they sell out in seconds. So especially if you're going to come on one of those weekend days. The alternative, of course, is come on a weekday when they're not doing the permit system, and then you don't need a reservation to enter. In Yosemite can be harsh and the driving conditions can be quite sketchy, so make sure you've either got all-wheel drive or snow chains if you want to enter the park, because you could be restricted if the snow is bad. Check out my Winter in Yosemite video on this channel with loads of top tips on how to access the park in bad weather conditions in winter.
How do you play?
If you jump on now, they jump on now, and now, hey guys, come
Be sure to check in at the visitor center when you arrive, because they have these really informative boards which tell you all about the odds of seeing Firefall on that particular night. It tells you where to go, how to get there, the weather conditions, the temperature, all that kind of good information. And those information boards are at all visitor centers within the park. There's also this chart which tells you for that particular year the date, the time that they think it's going to start and the time they think it's going to end, and the probability of seeing Firefall. In terms of getting around the park as well, don't forget that they've got the fantastic shuttle service back now after a break during COVID. It's got new routes, so there's a green loop that does the entire loop of Yosemite Valley, and then you also have the purple loop, which is a smaller section on the east side of the valley. Now, this new route has a new map, so stops 8, 9 and 10 are the ones that will be the best viewing area, because obviously that's nearest to El Capitan and Horsetail Falls. I went to the El Capitan picnic area to set up for my trip, and I found that to be a really good spot. But if you want to have more of a view of the surrounding cliffs and mountains, I would definitely go over to the other side and get off at stop 10. But just remember, it fills up really quickly, so arrive early if you want to nab a good spot. So here is Horsetail Falls.
So I'm finally here at a spot where I'm hoping to see the Firefall tonight. As I was coming up from Curry Village, there was loads of people, like hundreds of people, all camped out basically. This is actually like a quiet area with these people behind me, and you can see they've all got their blankets, chairs and stuff. But everyone's like trying to stake out the best place. It's not actually due to happen for another 45 minutes, but it's already pretty packed out. So the falls is just up here, so you can just about see the water coming off the edge. It's really faint. It's not actually that much, but I can see why in low snow years there's literally no water. And I've got my camera all set up, so I'm literally just hoping that I'm gonna catch this, because I don't think I'll be coming again to do it. So yeah, but I'm hoping because there's other people here it must be a good spot, because they wouldn't come here otherwise, especially if they've done it a few times. So fingers crossed.
I found it to be absolutely freezing, and it did dip below the freezing mark quite early on in the evening. So make sure you bring blankets, layers, a woolly hat, a hot drink, and maybe even a chair to sit on too.
So it's now 11 minutes past 5, and the sun is due, well, the effect is expected at 23 minutes past 5. So you can see there's a lot more people now gathering around, not just here, but like in lots of different spots where you can view it. So this is just one of many like posses of people basically. It's pretty bad further back, and you can see also further down there's a lot of people as well. You definitely want to get here early if you want to have a good spot, and I think I wish I took like a camp chair and a blanket, because it's really cold, and I've got loads of layers on, but I mean some of the people haven't even got that. But you can see that as it's getting closer and closer, the window of light is moving closer and closer from either side, and I'm guessing that obviously what's going to happen is the light's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner until it's only on Horsetail Falls. But it's looking good so far, so I'm hoping for good success. So there's definitely a little bit more happening now. You can tell everybody's like waiting. It's definitely like a sense of everybody being really anticipating this. It's got a little bit quieter as people are like, you can just tell, like eagerly hoping it's gonna work out. Sorry about that awful angle, by the way. I've actually got my phone just there balancing on an Nalgene, and that's going to be my time-lapse video.
I should probably point out at this point that these cars that are parked in front here, this is a handicap parking only, so this is not a parking lot that anybody can use.
Hopefully any second now. Not looking good. The sun's gone down and people are starting to leave. So I don't know if this has been a bit of a fail.
But just like so many people before me had said, you really need to wait until the sun is pretty much out of the sky, and then you will get that orange effect. There's no guarantees, it all is about angle, cloud cover further down in the Central Valley. So it's very hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I was really lucky that I got to see some awesome colour on Horsetail Falls. But yeah, good luck to you. I hope it all works out. And let me know below how your Horsetail Falls experience was.
But I'll be alright with you by my side, 'cause it's a cold night. We drive till the light shines bright in our eyes. A cold night.